Hey everyone, welcome back to the homestead. Today we are out in the garden and we are getting the tomato trellises up and functional for these tomatoes. So I was thinking about a couple different options on how to trellis my tomatoes this year, because I am growing in raised garden beds. They're not wood, so I can't screw anything to the outsides of them. And underneath there's a layer of gravel and wire, so I can't really stick anything per se down into the bed itself. And so I had to get really creative with some ideas. I thought maybe just doing some cattle panels, on the ends of the garden beds here, and then just running some wire. But then I was like, I really don't want cattle panels everywhere. And so last year I did a method called the California weave, and that just didn't work for me. I think I just used the wrong kind of string, and my tomatoes were just massive, and so it didn't work for us. So I wasn't going to try that again this year. But what I did come up with was, let me show you. So as you can see, we have the cattle panels like in the two middle walkways, but there's nothing on the end here. So my thought was, let's put a T-post here, and then I can run wire along this side of the tomatoes and attach it to the cattle panel trellises on the other end. And then that way, when I run the wire along this side of the tomatoes will grow on this side, and they can't fall over into this side of the bed like they did last year and cover up everything. So I picked up some 6-foot T-posts, and I'm gonna put them on the end of each, I guess you could say garden row, where there's not a cattle panel trellis. And then this way, at the end of each bed, I'll have a metal-based trellis that I can tie or support tomatoes on later on. So I think this is going to work out really well. At least I'm crossing my fingers and hoping that it does. And so I have, like I said, my supplies. I have these 6-foot T-posts. The wire that I'm going to be using is galvanized electric fence wire. I figure that's going to be the most sturdy thing, that's easy to work with, but also, like I said, sturdy. And we're just going to be twisting it around the T-posts and around the cattle panel trellises. So let's go ahead and get started. I finished the first tomato trellis, and I noticed that the middle part of the trellis, if there's any weight put on it, it sags a good bit. So I think I'm going to use the smaller 4-foot T-posts as a center support for the wire to rest on in the middle, and that'll provide a little bit more sturdiness to the trellis. And then just give the tomatoes a little bit more support. I am going to have to go back through and sink this down just a little bit deeper, and then possibly tighten all of these back up again, just to make sure that everything's nice and taut. And then as the tomatoes grow, we can secure them to these wires, and then they'll be nice and supported for the growing season. I have 2 more trellises to make for the tomatoes. I will eventually have a trellis system for all of the end garden beds here. So like this one, that one over there, that one over there, and those will all have this T-post trellis system so that I can rotate my beds out every year. So this is the next one that I'm going to be working on. I had already put the T-post in, so it should be height-wise where I need it to be. And then I just need to put the other T-post at the end, and then I can start running some wires. Oh, and something that I learned when I did this first one, instead of starting your wire at the bottom and working your way up, start at the top and work your way down. That way this top is pulled where you want it. In my situation, there's going to be a little bit of slack because I have a T-post that's attached to a cattle panel trellis, and there's going to be some flex there, so it's not going to be super tight, but it's better than the string that I used last year. So I'm going to move over to the next bed and get the next trellis set up. Second trellis is done, and this worked out a ton better having this middle support. The way I lined it up, I ended up going through the holes between the hooks on this T-post, and that way the wire is securely, it's not going to fall out of there, it's not going to get bumped, and it just worked out really, really well. And then this wire has support. So I'm really excited to see the tomatoes grow on this year and see how it works out. I do have one more trellis to do, but I think I'm gonna wrap up this video here for tonight. It is getting late and it is my son's birthday, so I should probably get in there with him. And so yeah, I'm just going to wrap this up for tonight. If you guys have any questions or tips and tricks about trellising tomatoes, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. I love hearing from you guys. If you like my content, go ahead and push that like button and hit the subscribe button. It lets you know when new videos are up on the channel, and it supports my channel a bunch. So thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to grow where you're planted.